With the Fed meeting just 2 days away, we are locked in on altcoins like HBAR. We are locked in on crypto itself because if the Fed is about to cut rates, which it seems as though they are, this is going to cause this entire space to erupt significantly higher. And of course, yes, we're 100% focused on altcoins because at this time in this market, it's no longer about Bitcoin. Yes, we're still technically in phase 2 of the cycle where we're still 100% focused on Ethereum as well. However, I think now is the perfect time to be preparing our altcoin bags for maximum profit. And the reason why I say that is because Ethereum wicked to a new all-time high recently. That was the signal. It's just like the signal where Ethereum made a new all-time high back in January of 2021. And just for those that are new to the space, maybe I need to remind you guys, HBAR going into the end of December was trading at a low of 3 cents in the month of December. It hit a high of 12 and almost a half cents in December. And then with January being the official beginning stage of Altseason, by the end of February, we saw HBAR trading at over 44 plus cents, almost 45 cents, just to end off the year, hitting 57 cents, the all-time high that we are all aware of. And what's crazy about this is most people will say, oh, well, HBAR really didn't perform all that well because it went from 3 cents to only, 57 cents. HBAR going into 2020 was trading at just a cent. So it did a, 50 plus X return during 2021 cycle. This time around, we're trading at about 23.5 cents. We're in a bull flag formation right now on this chart, waiting for this thing to break to the upside. And even when we look at TradingView, this is what I'm expecting on the daily. Right now, we're trading within this, purple zone. I still think that we might have a little bit more downside here, possibly, depending on how the market looks going into FOMC. But we are in this demand zone where we are just tapping this trend line that we already broke over back on September 11th. Now we're waiting for the big impulse move off of this. This will take us above our previous high that we just hit, as well as the highs going back to August, going back to even July as well. Because again, all of these are August highs. Once we clear this high here and the July high, we go back to the 2025 high and then new all-time highs for HBAR. Right now, the chart looks primed. But let's talk about a few things around Hedera that maybe you don't know. Number one, the top RWA projects by development activity in the last 30 days. All right, HBAR continues to rank on these lists. This one, HBAR is number 4. We could see it here on the list as well. And this is compared to some of the top projects in this space. We're talking about, Ondo, Algorand, Chainlink, Stellar, Avalanche. These are very prominent names. And again, if we're thinking about Hedera ranking on these lists, it goes to show you how big Hedera is and how active Hedera is as well. We constantly see HBAR, being tapped in on these top projects list. It doesn't even have to be RWA-based projects. It could be top DeFi activity, top stablecoin growth on these networks. I mean, Hedera has been making a ton of moves, and I really wish that more people would realize this because, again, I don't think that people realize this enough. Hedera is in a completely different phase of the cycle where they are nonstop growing, nonstop building, nonstop expanding as well. And also ETFs. So yes, we have been focused on ETFs. We have here Justin, Fidelity, Solana ETF, Canaries, XRP, and Hedera ETFs are now listed on the DTCC's platform. This is exactly how the Bitcoin ETFs started. It was, I want to say it was late October, November where we saw the Bitcoin ETF get added to the DTCC's platform, and then we got the approval in January. This tells me that we are about to witness some altcoin ETFs getting approved within the coming months. I could see a lot of these ETFs getting approved by the end of this year. That would be a huge catalyst for price action for HBAR, for pretty much any altcoin. I mean, listen, it doesn't even have to be HBAR. It could be XRP, it could be Solana, it could be Dogecoin. It doesn't matter, right? It's all one big catalyst. And I've always said that what's ever good for some of these other altcoins is also good for the altcoin that you're holding, because this is all liquidity. So if an altcoin that maybe is an HBAR gets approval, that's going to build liquidity in this market just for it to trickle down into other altcoins that haven't ran that hard. So again, we're still locked in on any altcoin ETF getting approval, which also, by the way, signals that other altcoins will get their approval as well. But we did get a big update talking about ETFs on September 9th, which was the SEC pushing back decisions on Bitwise Grayscale crypto ETFs to November. And yes, this did include HBAR ETFs as well from Grayscale, and this got pushed to November 12th. I'm not too concerned about this. I know that a lot of people would look at these delays and say, oh, well, this is very bad. It means that the SEC is just going to delay more and more and more. I think that the pushback here shows us that the SEC is taking some time to look over these and prepare these ETFs as well. We know that we've been hearing quite a bit about ETFs and even a framework to make sure that the process goes a lot quicker than it has. And that's from Paul Atkins as well. So if we're thinking about this, I still think that this is technically good news. It's not something that I think is, oh, well, we're not going to see an HBAR ETF this year. What are we going to do? No, I still think that this is telling us that the SEC is, taking some time to look over this and process this fully. So yeah, I think that this is technically good news. But beyond that, I want to go over here to this post because, it's a good friend of mine, Tokenizer, and he put this post out and he said the best is building on HBAR. And if we're thinking about all of these companies, okay, these are some very prominent names. These are not your small time names that maybe you don't know about. Maybe you heard about them once or so. No, these are very, very large players. NVIDIA, BlackRock, Lloyds Bank, Visa, BitGo, FedNow, Takeon, Deloitte, Australian Payments Plus, Six Digital Exchange. If we look at what they're building, right? Number one tech company, NVIDIA, verifiable compute with Equity Labs. This is all based around AI. Number one asset manager, BlackRock, money market fund on Hedera via Archix. Number one UK retail bank, Lloyds, collateralized FX with money market funds on Hedera. Number one payment firm, Visa, consumer payments with SKUX. Number one 2025 custody, BitGo on Hedera Governance Council. Number one central bank, US Federal Reserve, FedNow ISO 20022 system adds drop. Number one military and defense system, US DoD. DoD-backed Takeon builds on Hedera. Number one consultancy firm, Deloitte, ESG Solutions with Hedera Guardian. Number one payment provider in Australia. This is, AP Plus. We've talked about them. Australian Payments Plus. They're using HashSpear. Now, also on top of that, they also just got added to Australia's CBDC platform, or it was a project at least that they were building, like basically this platform for CBDC cash in Australia. That's still a big topic of discussion that a lot of people like to argue about. Oh, CBDCs, but then they also support stablecoins, which are essentially the same thing. But that's also still another big subject that Hedera's kind of, really tapped in with. And then, of course, last but not least, Swiss Financial Infrastructure, six groups, BME invest in OpenBrick. I mean, yeah, these are some very large names. I mean, guys, Hedera is absolutely stacked with enterprise grade adoption. And even when we think about some other names like the DTCC, right? So back in March of this year, we saw the DTCC join ERC 3643. Now, this is an association that might sound very familiar to you. Why does it? Well, it's because Hedera joined the same association 7 days after the DTCC joined this association. Now, this is a token standard. This ERC 3643 is a token standard that's being utilized around tokenization solutions to make sure that these institutional players and enterprise players can tap into these tokenization platforms. Again, when we're looking at this, we could see the benefits of this. So these are the benefits for the digital asset markets: enhanced risk management, security, and compliance. This is all based around automating the processing of tokenized securities, globally reducing operational complexities and cost, robust data management, increased market liquidity, and advanced on-chain capabilities. Again, this token standard is going to change the game. And of course, the fact that Hedera did join this was all based around helping scaling the adoption of ERC 3643 and institutional RWAs on the Hedera network. This shows us that Hedera is taking this very serious. Again, I still cannot wait to track RWA value on Hedera because it's going to be a very exciting time to just kind of dive into some of the use cases that are now on Hedera Live for tokenization. But also, when we're thinking about what this means for Hedera, Hedera has that tokenization studio. That tokenization studio is a very big game changer. I've talked about it on multiple occasions. Hedera's been really I would say, really moving in a large and fast way around that tokenization studio. A lot of people don't really pay attention to it, but they recently just won an award for the tokenization studio, which was the Tech Forward Award for DeFi and crypto innovation. And this is still a pretty significant award, but also the adoption around the asset tokenization studio has been picking up lately as well. And this was still a fresh launch. A lot of people don't know that this launched only back in September of last year. So this is only 1 year old at this point. Now, I bring up the DTCC joining the ERC 3643 platform or association because, number one, they are building out a tokenization platform, which is this tokenized real-time collateral management platform. This got announced back in April of this year, and this is an app chain financial infrastructure to support institutional decentralized finance. Now, what's interesting about this is a lot of people will think, oh, well, the DTCC is building their own platform and, they're going to utilize probably some private blockchain technology. They don't even care about tapping into public blockchains at all. So this doesn't benefit us at all. And especially coming from a name like the DTCC, this matters because they are moving transactions valued in the quadrillions of dollars. That's right. $3.8 quadrillion back in 2024. Here you guys have it documented as well. $3.8 quadrillion. This is up significantly, $800 trillion since 2023, and 2.5 quadrillion was back in 2022. So this continues to grow at a very fast rate. Now, when we think about this, are they using private blockchain technology? It looks as though they're not. And we've gone over this before as well. Back in April of this year, Genfinity put out a great article talking about the DTCC's master plan, tokenizing quadrillions in global assets with centralized control. But they're also tapping in to public blockchains. This is where you see that interconnectivity being extremely important. Here we have the patent shows that the DTCC wants to dominate tokenized finance globally, because this is this patent here, which provides us with an insight of how this model is going to work from the DTCC. It's going to interoperate across public blockchains, build private and consortium DLTs, and then also manage rights dynamically, delegate wallets, and then prepare for quantum security threats. And this includes a lot of today's top tier DLTs, including Hedera. So if we're thinking about what's happening here, essentially any chain is going to be tapped in. This is all of the chains that we know of right now that are included in this patent, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hedera, Binance, Flow, Tron, and Tezos, Cosmos, and of course the XRP Ledger. But if we're going back to this announcement back in April of this year, this is all through this app chain platform, which again, if we're thinking about this, this is going to allow any blockchain to be tapped in. Hedera is a very top tier network for any type of use case like this because of the scalability, because of the security, because of all of the efficiencies that Hedera has. So if we're thinking about going back to that image that Tokenizer posted where all of these top tier, players are tapping in with Hedera, You know, we don't need to see $3 quadrillion moving over Hedera for HBAR to be, you know, expensive. If all of these networks are going to be tapped into the DTCC's platform, because we already have, you know, these names listed, we already know this patent exists. All it takes is just like 1% of some of these markets to be tapped in with Hedera on chain to make HBAR extremely valuable. Now, if we're thinking about just this cycle alone, guys, there is plenty of things that are acting as major catalysts for HBAR's price to cause it to go crazy. But again, these connections are so important to focus on and really kind of return back to, because a lot of people don't even understand, you know, that some of these companies are moving this type of money per year. $3.8 quadrillion. You say that to someone and they're going to cause you they're going to just say that you're crazy, because again, all they know about is billions and trillions of dollars. They don't even know that there's quadrillions of dollars out there in circulation. So again, just think about how early we are when names like the DTCC are moving on chain. They're tapping into DeFi, they're tapping into blockchain, and they're moving $3.8 quadrillion per year. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.